back to the button. So quick thing on the button. So we saw the labels, but then on the side of the button, there is this little one button here. This is the power button. And I recommend never powering off the button, but just in case you do. But when you get the button, they'll all be powered off. So you do need to know how to power them on. And the way you power on a button is by pressing this and holding it down till you see a little blue flash here. So it should be about 3 to 4 seconds, maybe 5 seconds, no more than that. And you'll see a blue flash on this LED in the front. At that point, you release the button, and it should go through the rest of the startup process. If you ever want to check if the button is on, you would just press this once, and this LED will flash a white light just once. So that's how you know that the button is on. And so you can try that any number of times. That's not a problem. In order to turn off the button, it's the same process like turning it on, which is you'd hold this button down for about 5 seconds. But instead of a blue flash, you will see a red flash on this LED. And once you see the red flash, the button is off. And you can confirm it by clicking this once, the side button once, and you should not see this LED flashing at all. Once again, as I said earlier, we always recommend leaving the button on always because it's an emergency panic button device. You don't want to have to turn it on just when you need it because it does take a few minutes to register itself and get back online. So you don't want to be doing it right when you need to click an emergency. I'll get to the red button in the front. That's obviously the important one. But before I do that, there is also a charging port at the bottom, which is where you'd use a charging cable. You'll flip this tab out, and then you would plug in the USB-C cable here, and then plug in the other end on the into your charger. The battery on this, on a full charge, should last you 3 to 4 weeks of normal use. But we do recommend that people keep it charged at least, or plug it in for charging at least once a week. Having said that, there is absolutely no issue with charging it every day. Just like you might charge your cell phone at the end of the day, you might have a process by which you leave this plugged in overnight or at the end of your shift, whenever that might be. But we recommend at least once a week. Now, there are indications this LED will start flashing red slowly when the battery drops below 30%. And when it drops below 5%, the device will shut itself off. So at that point, the only way to turn it on is to plug it in, start charging, and then you have to go through the turn on procedure. It will not automatically turn itself on. Okay, this is the slot, by the way, where you would attach the lanyard cable if you wanted to. Finally, the important button in the front, there's this red button. You can't quite see it on the video, but it has a little tactile feel to it. It's a little depressed from the surface, but it's got a few dots on it, so you can easily feel it. Even if it's in your pocket, you don't really have to look at it. The way you trigger an emergency is by clicking this button, and you need to click it 3 times rapidly. So you go click, click, click. You can go 4 times or 5 times. It's not an issue, but you do need to click it at least 3 times. And the reason for that is that we want to avoid false positives. So if you accidentally happen to click it once or twice, nothing will happen. But if you do click it accidentally 3 times, then yes, an alert will go out. When an alert is clicked, when you click on it and alert is gone, you will start seeing a light flashing here periodically, and the button will also start vibrating. So that's as far as the button is concerned. So in terms of the install process, the only thing you have to do with the button is really turn it on. That's it. I will talk about when you do that and making sure that it is connected to the backend. We'll talk about that once we've talked about the base station. But in terms of the install, the only thing you have to do with the button is remove it,